Hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome. I like to talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays, and today we are continuing with my film journey. This is week 2, and a few weeks back, I came back from the UK, and I've had new energy to come back into the space of physical media, collecting physical discs like Blu-rays and 4Ks, and also just, watching movies in general. That's something I wanted to, jump back into. So I felt inspired by my recent journey, and I decided to start journaling, like physically journaling my experiences. Yes, I have a letterbox as well. That's in my link down there if you're curious about kind of my thoughts as I'm watching movies. But this is where I could dive a little bit deeper into the films and TV shows that I watch, and also the movies and TV shows that I pick up. So that's what this whole journey is about. And so week 1, I had last week where I covered a Saturday to a Saturday, and that's what I'm going to be doing today as well. I'm going to be covering Saturday, July 20th through July 27th. So that's what I'm going to be covering today, where I'm going to be talking about my journey with the films that I've watched, with the films that I picked up. And also, at the end of this whole video, I'm going to be spotlighting somebody in this space that I deem is a friend. And also, I'm just really interested in their content, and I'm really excited to dive into it. So, stick around, and also let me know what you're watching and recommend some titles that you may have picked up. And I will say, spoiler alert, I did not watch anything from last week. This is week 1. I'm still testing the waters on this thing. There's a lot of really great recommendations, and I'm going to be sure to shout you out at the end of the video for this one. But with that being said, let's jump into the film journey as we're talking about week 1 or week 2. We're in week 2. What am I doing? This is week 2. Let's start off with Saturday, July 20th. All right, so starting off on July 20th, this is the day I had off, and I decided, you know what, let's take a little trip to Rogers, Arkansas. In fact, in my last video, I actually covered my Barnes & Noble trip. In fact, I recorded that whole thing, and I'm sure you can see that on the channel as well. But I was able to pick up a few titles. I went down there just on a whim to see my friend, who is going to college down there. And then I also was able to get some Onyx coffee, which I adore. I love their coffee down there, and the shop is just amazing. And yeah, Rogers is a really cool place. But I didn't expect to really go and do this trip until that morning. And so that's what I did for the morning. In the afternoon, I got back, and I was like, let's record some stuff, and that's what I did with my video and did some editing there. But I also wanted to watch a movie, and I wanted to start my Ken Russell journey. And so the first film I watched is this Vestron Video film that I picked up over in Manchester. It is The Lair of the White Worm. Terrific film, and this is a great introduction to Ken Russell. Obviously, very different. We'll get to Ken Russell here in a bit, because I've actually watched 2 films this week by him, and one that was probably more akin to what people expect from Ken Russell. But this is a very great campy horror film with some action adventure here as well, and a lot of horror. But it's got Amanda Donahoe in here, right here. She's a really great temptress. There also is a really young Hugh Grant, whose ancestor slaughtered the old white worm, which this whole thing's about, right? Catherine Oxenberg's great in it, and Peter Capaldi, who is this crazy Scottish anthropologist, I think, archaeologist probably, I used the wrong word, who found this old skull that could potentially be an old ancient worm. I don't know. And Sammy Davis is in it too. She's great. But this is just a really fun film, and it's got such a terrific amount of crazy batshit things going on in this movie that I honestly got to rewatch it again, because it was just a terrific time. I had so much fun with it. There's a lot of zany parts in it, a lot of really crazy special effects, but it's definitely very late 80s, and was just a really fun time. And I definitely recommend people check this movie out. I mean, if you're into that type of campy horror, this is a film that is like straight up your alley, and one that I had a really good time with, and was a really fun introduction to Ken Russell. Like I said, I'd probably give this movie a 3.5 out of 5. It's definitely a great movie and a fun time, and that's definitely why I watched this movie, and I cannot wait to watch it again. But, going from that transition, we're going to Sunday to another Ken Russell film. And this day, I decided to kind of just get a coffee, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do a movie marathon today and just watch movies and just nonstop do that. So that's what Sunday was all about. So let's jump back into Ken Russell. So on Sunday, I also started off with Ken Russell's Gothic, right here from BFI. This is a terrific film. This is a terrific film that is also absolutely mental and very crazy and very sensorial. It goes all over the place. But this is actually where it's based on a real event that happened, but is a very interesting artistic interpretation of it, and a very I guess Russell-esque interpretation, but it is all in the vein of Mary Shelley's classic Frankenstein. That's kind of what it all leads up to, in a way. But it has Gabriel Byrne in it, Julian Sands, Natasha Richardson, and Timothy Spall, who I really love. But this movie is all about a house party, Lord Byron's house party, where he has all these great guests, these literary authors who would eventually create such a terrific thing here. But it is a wild film. You can just see, just based on the cover, how wild this movie is. It's really hard to explain, and honestly, this is a movie I want to revisit. This is one that, I guess, unlike The Lair of the White Worm, which is that's more campy, this has some camp in it too, and some humor, but it's definitely more in the surreal vein, I would say. It reminded me a lot of like The Cook, the Wife, and the Thief and His Lover. That kind of film, that's what it kind of reminded me of in ways. But I'm very curious about diving deeper into this disc. There's actually incredible special features on here. I've actually only was able to watch A Haunted Evening, which is Stephen Volk, the writer of Goth, kind of revisiting his early script, and also just how it interacted with the movie itself. But yeah, this is just a really crazy gothic film, pun intended. But this movie was just a fun time, and definitely one that if you're into the surreal horror or surreal history in ways, this is a fun film for you. And I want to say, Davey, thank you so much for recommending this film to me, because he knew that I picked up The Lair of the White Worm, and he knew I'd really enjoy this film as well. So great release here from the BFI. Terrific restoration, and excited to jump more into Ken Russell films, even though it's going to be a wild time, I'm sure. So moving on from there, I decided to go a little bit more quirky and watch something that's a little bit more closer to home. In Blaine, Missouri, it's Waiting for Guffman. This movie is the HMV Premium Collection Edition right here. I got this in Manchester as well, and wow, what a terrific film. We have Corky St. Clair here. I thought this was Guffman, thinking back in the day, I saw this probably 10 years ago. I saw this cover, and I've been wanting to watch this movie for that long amount of time, but I didn't really know what this movie was about. But it's like a mockumentary of sorts. It's like Spinal Tap and Best in Show, which is the co-creator, Christopher Guest, directed this film and those films, but it's a lot more in the vein of Spinal Tap meets like Parks and Rec and The Office, in ways where, obviously there is a cameraman who is interviewing people as they're going through a process of things, and that's what it feels like. And this is actually, Corky St. Clair is somebody who is he's not very aware of how bad he is at theater production. So it's about a small town, Blaine, Missouri, and this theater production and all the people who are involved in it. And there's some really weird people in here, but it's got Eugene Levy in it, Catherine O'Hara, Parker Posey, Fred Willard, and Bob Balaban in here, and it's just a really hopeless film. It's just a fun film, and it's definitely one that I think people should definitely check out. And if you're just ready for a good time, and also just ready to like kind of people watch, that's what this movie's all about. And this, if you want to have any insight on smaller Missouri, this is kind of a little on the nose here, but it was a good time, and I definitely enjoyed it. I gave this a 4 out of 5 for sure. It's definitely one I'm going to revisit more and more, and definitely just with some friends probably. All right, so going from there to a lighthearted black comedy of sorts from an early film here from 1949. It is actually Kind Hearts and Coronets. A terrific disc, a 4K disc from Studio Canal. Really great restoration. I love, love, love the restoration. It looks terrific. So this is a movie that I was kind of curious about, and I saw that Alec Guinness was in it, and I didn't realize that he played, I think, 8 characters. Yeah, he plays 8 characters in this, as it's a revenge story. So we have our main character, who is Dennis Price, who is playing Louis Mazzanini, who is the would-be Duke of Chalfont, and his mother, who is disinherited by her noble family for marrying beneath her. So what happens is that disavowed has led him to a life of crime to kill the 8 successors in line for that family fortune. And that's what this movie is all about. And it is a terrifically bleak and also like really cheeky film. And it's very English. It reminds me of something like The Thin Man meets Rules of the Game. And it's just this cool, crazy combination of things. And I really love it. It's a delightful movie. Valeria Hobson is in it as well. Joan Greenwood, they're both terrific in it. It's just really funny, and it's one that you can just really get captured by the dialogue and the kind of like the bleak undertones of this film, and it is just a terrific one, and it's got some great special features in it as well. I was only able to watch the introduction from John Landis, and also a one more with Ealing, with Peter Bradshaw, Wilt Stillman, Paul King, and Stephen Woolley as they talk about the film and its history in British cinema and also world cinema. And so this is a classic, and honestly, I see myself revisiting this movie and kind of re-evaluating it in the future. But right now, I would give it a 4 out of 5. It's probably closer to a 4.5 out of 5. It's a terrific movie. And the last movie I watched on Sunday was a spooky one. In fact, one that I still, to this very day, which not too long ago, right, still have haunted memories and images of this movie. It's The Woman in Black. The TV version from 1989. Wow, what a terrific film. First of all, I watched this in the original version where it had TV edit breaks, like commercial breaks. And that's the one where I wanted to watch. And that's the one I was told to watch by Davey, who's the one who you got this film for me. So I want to say thank you, Davey, for picking this up for me. I really appreciate it. It's a great film from Network. Man, this is just a great release. So it's adapted by Nigel Neal and is Susan Hill's original Chiller right here. But man, this movie, Herbert Wise is terrific, Adrian Rollins and Pauline Moran. This movie, like the images in this movie, this might be the best TV adaptation of a film that I've ever seen, probably. I need to read the book, honestly. But I know this is an English classic and one that's, I'm just glad it has a physical disc release. If anyone hasn't seen this movie, or is anyone like a fan of maybe the Daniel Radcliffe version, definitely check this movie out. It will stick with you. Like, it is a terrific TV film, and one that I definitely am going to revisit and watch and have nightmares about. This is a 4 to a 4.5 out of 5. This is a phenomenal film. Check out The Woman in Black. All right, so moving on to the week where I had to go back to work, sadly, like everyone else, right? I work an 8 to 5. But during this time, I like to do a little thing where I drink a cup of coffee and I watch some Twin Peaks. So we'll jump into this a little bit further as we get along in this. But I was able to start season 2 recently, and I watched season 2, episode 2, I believe. And it keeps getting better and better, and it gets getting more and more terrific. In fact, I'll jump back into this show here in a bit, because I have notes on it, and I definitely want to talk about it. But we're gonna get into this a little bit further in depth as we go along in the journey with Twin Peaks, because it's just a terrific show. So after work, I came back home, and I was able to actually get 2 things in the mail. 2 things that I picked up during the Prime Day. I actually got a few things, and you'll see this on Tuesday as well. But for Monday, I was able to get Barbie, Greta Gerwig's film, right here on 4K. It was a really good deal. I love this movie. And in fact, I actually got the companion film to this, we'll talk about here in a second on Tuesday. But this movie is just it's terrific. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are just amazing in it, and as Ken and Barbie. And who knew that this movie would speak to so many people? It's a great 4K, and I can't wait to revisit this and talk about this movie again soon. And the other film that I picked up was one that I've had on my radar for a while now, but I've been wanting to watch. In fact, I think Steph, movie chatter, she actually brought this film up in my attention to pick it up, like finally came out on physical media. It is The Motorcycle Diaries. And this is actually Gael Garcia Bernal and Rodrigo de la Serna, and is a film about the real life kind of adventures of Che Guevara and Alberto Granado. I'm probably saying all these Spanish names incorrectly, but wow. I don't know what to really think about this movie, but one that I'm really curious about and definitely going to be diving into soon. But I've heard this is a really enthralling drama. And also just personal, like, kind of life journey story. And so I love things like that where it's like a road trip movie, and that's something that I'm really curious about. And also just based on real events too, or at least dramatized real events, of course. But I'm really curious about it. And has anyone seen this movie? I would love to know your thoughts on it, and let me know in the comment section down below. So after getting those titles, I'm like, you know what? Let's watch something really weird tonight. And I had this on my shelf for a second. I watched Le Beast from 1975. This is a wild erotic film, and first of all, I don't know if I was ready for this movie. This is directed by Walerian. I'm probably saying it incorrectly. I believe it's a Polish director. But this is a French film based on, The Beauty and the Beast, of course, that story. But it is an erotic film in the weirdest way possible. It's got one of the craziest in scenes you'll ever see. And I don't want to really talk about it because I don't want this video to be like demonetized or any of that stuff. But wow, this movie is, you see a lot of stuff. You see a lot of crazy stuff. And you see the Beast and you see him go off on this lady, Lucy Broadhurst, who is played by Elizabeth Hummel. But this movie is just, it's something else. I don't know if I'd recommend this movie. You have to be in like this space or like the headspace to watch this movie or like this kind of stuff. But it's one that I don't know if I thoroughly enjoyed very much. Honestly, it was like a 2 out of 5. I mean, I can see like the artistic merit of this movie, at least in terms of like being against the censors and whatnot, but it's not really something that I would recommend for myself or for people. But if you are into this kind of stuff, that's cool. But what an absolutely insane movie. And yeah, that's what I have to say, because it's here. I'll just read this. One of the most bizarre and surreal experiences ever filmed. Depraved tale of animal desire is at once riotous and perverse. That's all you have to say about the Beast. What a crazy time. Let's move on to Tuesday. So Tuesday started off just like Monday, where it was Twin Peaks and coffee. And I watched episode 3, which was really great. Start seeing love triangles intermingle. People get accused of killing other people. I'm not going to get into it if anyone hasn't seen it, but I mean, obviously I do want to get into it. But Twin Peaks, I mean, I might have a video with some friends talking about my journey with this, but like, holy crap. This is just getting incredible. But great episode, season 2, episode 3. Some really great moments I really love. But other than that, I got home, and I told you, I mentioned that I got the other half of Barbie, right? So I got home from work, and of course, I got the other half of the incredible Barbie, which is Oppenheimer. So we have Barbenheimer, which was a great cinematic experience that I did back to back. I watched Oppenheimer first, and then I watched Barbie in the evening, and it was just a terrific time. And I honestly cannot wait to watch this on my home cinema and watch it on 4K. I love this movie and Barbie as well. They're both terrific films, and honestly, I probably will do it again. I'll probably do the Barbenheimer double feature just for good old times and for sakes. But I got this for a good deal on Prime Day. I also got a few other titles from Prime Day. One that was really cheap that I know my good buddy Daniel over at Cobwebs talked about. It's The Cursed right here. This is a werewolf film, a very interesting werewolf film. I've heard the atmosphere is really great in this, but I'm excited to check this one out. It's definitely about like some like werewolf like teeth that people put on, but I'm curious about this one. I'm definitely in the horror mood. And speaking of horror, but also maybe in the comedic side, I've been watching a lot of TV, right? I've been watching Twin Peaks. I've been watching a lot of English television and British television. So I wanted to get Ghosts, the complete collection. I don't really know much about this show, but I got this on DVD, and this was really relatively cheap. I think it was like maybe 15, 20 bucks. And this is a complete series. And yeah, just based on me looking it up, I'm sure I'm going to have a good time with it. But yeah, has anyone seen Ghosts? I would love to know what your thoughts on it. I'm sure I'm going to be checking this out soon because I'm still definitely very much in that English mood. But with that being said, I was actually able to watch a movie this night as well on Tuesday, and one that I really, really loved. And that movie is Walker from Alex Cox. Davey, you're coming up on this channel quite a bit right now. My friend Davey was able to talk to Alex Cox recently on his channel, and it was a terrific time, and also just something that I was like, you know what, I haven't really seen very many Alex Cox films. I was only able to see Repo Man not that long ago, but I finally watched Walker as well, and did not expect this movie to be as political or surreal as it was, and how realistic this movie is. And it is just an insane movie, and it's, like I said, it's surreal in the way it's portrayed because it almost feels very accurate in terms of how exploitative this movie is. And it just kind of goes in that realm. It's very theatrical in how it's portrayed, especially the last sequence. That sequence will stick with you. But this is just a terrific film here, and it's satirical, but is also very realistic. And also the score by Joe Strummer was incredible. In fact, I think I talked about this not that long ago on the channel. But I want to stress it enough. I just enjoy this movie so damn much. This is a 4 out of 5. It might be a 4.5. It definitely is one that's going to stick with me for quite some time. And it's a terrific film. And Alex Cox, great work with this one. Now we're to Wednesday, and of course, I had to watch some Twin Peaks with some coffee, and we actually meet Jean in here, Jacques' brother, and this is where things start getting a little crazier at One Eye Jacques. This is a fun time, and like I said, I'll jump into it a little bit further, but I didn't really do much today. On Wednesday, I was actually filming more stuff and working and doing just a bunch of odd things, but I was, at the end of the day, able to crash and be like, you know what, I'm literally right before I went to bed, let's watch an episode of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. So I was able to rewatch the episode 1 and also watch the commentary on it, and that was a lot of fun. And honestly, I just can't wait to dive further into this show, because this show is so stupid and so amazing, and is one of the best spoof shows I've ever seen. And I want to say thank you, Sam, for jumping me into this amazing show that is just absolutely crazy. So going to Thursday, Wednesday was a really short one, right? We, of course, Twin Peaks and coffee. And that Twin Peaks episode was episode 5 of season 2, so more One Eye Jacques craziness. We also see Maddie and Donna attempt to steal Laura's journal, and also some action at One Eye Jacques with Blackie. And yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happens, and like I said, I'll jump further into that as I get along. But I was actually able to, after work, go to Deadpool and Wolverine. And wow, I didn't have much high hopes for it. I definitely was like, okay, turn your brain off. This is a Deadpool movie, right? It's one that, I didn't expect more than just Deadpool stuff. And surprisingly, this movie had a lot of heart. And Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds were incredible in this film. And their chemistry was great. It was definitely like a 48 Hours meets, Lethal Weapon. It's definitely just a buddy cop film, right? You got the dumbass in Deadpool, and you also have the smartass in Logan, right? And man, it was something that I didn't expect to have such a blast with. The terrific Easter eggs that are just spoiled throughout. It's a little too self-referential, but obviously that's exactly what Deadpool is, right? It was a great homage to the early Fox titles that happened in the early 2000s and their kind of introduction to the cinematic universe in Marvel. I know a lot of people are a little bit tired of it, but I thought this was a terrific, addition to the cinematic universe, and also one that kind of added to it in ways that I think gave it a lot of heart, right? This is definitely a movie about friendship, getting along and overcoming a lot of that stuff. And also you're going to laugh your ass off the entire time to very surreal moments and a lot of fourth wall breaking and a lot of crazy shit going on. And that's what Deadpool and Wolverine is. It's an incredible film, and I definitely recommend people check it out. Even if you're apprehensive about it, it's definitely like a 4 out of 5. Like it's one that like people should check out. It's got a lot of heart. Moving on to Friday, I was actually able to watch 2 episodes of Twin Peaks, episodes 6 and 7 of season 2, and this is where a lot of crazy stuff actually starts going down. In fact, I actually had to take a break after episode 7 because of all the events that transpire in this. But it involves Maddie, of course, Leland, a character named Bob, of all things, the log lady. There's a lot of mysteries that are just keep happening, and Cooper is amazing in it. And yeah, this whole town is just, I'm so enthralled by this entire story. But man, those episodes will stick with me, and this is some of the best episodes of Twin Peaks I've seen so far. Obviously, I know coming into the next couple episodes, I know it's going to start getting more into the less David Lynch stuff, more melodrama, but we'll see how it goes. More Twin Peaks. I was also able to go to work, of course, and it was Friday, so let's treat myself to a terrific film at the end of the night. And that terrific film was Under the Silver Lake with Andrew Garfield and Riley Coe. This is actually directed by David Robert Mitchell, who directed It Follows. This movie was really, really good. I didn't expect this movie to be the way it was. I knew it was going to be a Hollywood story, kind of the underbelly of Hollywood, but I didn't expect it to be kind of like Eyes Wide Shut in ways, and also like Three Women, like Robert Altman's Three Women. I got a lot of those vibes from this movie, and Andrew Garfield's character is kind of a scumbag in this movie. There's not really anybody to really like, but you're kind of following this guy as he's going through these scenarios with all these different people. Riley Coe's character is a woman that he meets, and he starts getting just enraptured in her, and she disappears, and he's just on his way trying to figure out the mystery of why she disappeared. And so that's kind of the plot of the film. It's a surreal movie, but I really enjoyed it, and one that I think I would definitely love to revisit. But like I said, there's not really any characters to really enjoy, because there's other things going on in the background that might be connected to some of our characters, and you really don't get the answers to that. And it really is a great mystery of sorts. Also, there's like some revelations that maybe aren't as shocking, but maybe it's exactly what it is, and that's what I love about this movie. But Under the Silver Lake was a great film. I would definitely give this a 4, maybe a 4.5 out of 5. Now it's the end of the week, and I decided to watch a documentary before I went up to Columbia, which we'll kind of cover here in a second. But I actually wanted to watch a documentary right before me going up to see my buddies, and I was able to watch All That Breathes. One of the discs I picked up during the Criterion Hall, just like Walker, and this is I guess it's a New Delhi film where it is about two brothers who are taking care of the animals in New Delhi, especially birds of prey like this hawk. But I actually did talk about this a little bit further, just like I talked about Walker in my Criterion Hall. But I had a good time with this movie, despite it being something that was really enthralling for something that's horrific. But I was able to actually go up to Columbia to see my buddies Chris and Daniel, who have been on the channel, Figure Out Films and Cobwebs. They're good buddies of mine in real life, and I have been for a long time with them. But we were able to do a double feature up there, and we were able to watch Roadhouse, which is a terrific Patrick Swayze film, and one that I have seen a few times, and I love that film. And it was just a good time hanging out with friends and watching that movie. And the other film we watched with Roadhouse is a really strange one, and one that I think is a weird pairing, but whatever. We watched Flesh Eater from 1988. This is a really strange horror film and a very, very, very low budget film. But we had such a blast watching this movie, all laughing together, and just kind of seeing all these dumb teenagers get killed by this zombie, and all these people die in the dumbest way possible. And it's just a fun film, and we had just had a good time watching the double feature of Roadhouse and Flesh Eater. It was just a weird, surreal experience, but just hanging out with friends, watching movies, that's what this is all about. And that's what it was a good time up in Columbia to do that. I was also able to go to Barnes & Noble before I went over there, and I picked up a few titles. I also talked about that in my latest video. So that is actually what I watched and picked up for week 2. It was a really surreal week. A lot of really weird films and TV shows that I've been watching. I guess that's the mood I'm in. But before we jump out of the video, let's jump over to the Spotlight Corner, where I'm going to spotlight a creator in the space that I like. He's one of my best friends. So let's talk about him. So we're over to the Spotlight Corner, where I'm going to be spotlighting a creator in the space that I am good friends with. And honestly, I'm sure all of you already know him, but I'm really excited to talk about him. But first, I want to say thank you all for watching week 1. I want to give a special shout out to everyone who's commented. Sam, Davey, and Chris. I'm glad that I was able to see you guys. Sammy G, thank you for commenting. Brian, AZ, Mike with Gray 1951, Mark's Movie Menu, Roy Barrett, Scott Sunders, Muckman Movies, Andrew Craddock, and Bulgarian Troglodyte. And I want to say thank you all for commenting, and also just for interacting with me and giving me some recommendations. You guys are great, and honestly, everyone who else is watching right now, please give me recommendations for some films to watch, and I will definitely shout you out and kind of jump into that as I'm going along with my film journey. But moving on to the creator that I want to talk about my buddy Ryan over at Disconnected. He is one of the greatest people in this space. Honestly, he puts out great content. He's one who's constantly doing live streams, and also constantly giving us news about physical media discs, and one that he just keeps putting out content to where on social media for all of us. It's all of us can see what's coming out and what's been announced, and he's got a really great hub for that. And honestly, he's got a really great heart. But he actually has this cool zine called The Physical Media Advocate, And this is actually issue number 6 right here. I'm actually in the first issue, and these are actually all available now at Orbit DVD and Amazon. So, like, holy crap, like, Ryan, like, you're doing such a fantastic job in putting things like this out. But this is the stuff that people want to see. You know, it's seeing stuff like this. These zines, these are throwbacks for a lot of us. I used to read a lot of zines where they kind of cover metal bands that are up and coming. This is kind of just that. It's spotlighting different people in the community, different releases coming out. It's just a really cool thing that I think Ryan is putting a lot of hard work into. And honestly, I just want to say special shout out to you. He has these over on Orbit DVD and also on Amazon, so you can pick these physical discs, you know, physical discs, these physical magazines up from these places. And I'm just so excited to see Ryan do so well in this space, because he definitely puts the work in. He puts some of the most work I've seen out of anybody I know. But yeah, terrific stuff here. I'm definitely gonna be buying some stuff from Orbit DVD, or maybe buying just directly from you, buddy. But man, these zines are so cool, and they're so exciting to read, and just having something companion to something that we all love so much. This is something that's overdue, and I think a lot of people should check out. So anyway, if you're interested in, you know, physical media and want to read about it, this is the thing to pick up. Physical Media Advocate from my buddy Disconnected. You know, shout out to him and his channel. Go check it out. Go follow it down in the description. Anyway, let's go back to the end of the video where I kind of cover up everything else. So I'll see you soon. So I'm sure you already know who Ryan was, but Disconnected is one of my best friends in the space, and honestly just a great guy. And hopefully you can support him through his zine. Click on that Amazon link. You can also go to Orbit DVD and pick them up, which is just incredible to see the growth of my friend. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed my video of going through week 2, where I was kind of discussing, you know, the films that I watched and the films that I picked up. And yeah, I also would love to know what your recommendations are. Please let me know if there's any films I should check out or watch. Let me know in the comment section down below. I can watch them on streaming, or I can pick them up physically, right? I just enjoy this so much, and honestly, I'm excited to jump into week 3. So honestly, that's where I'm at now, and we're going to jump into that soon. But anyway, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a like, comment down below, share, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around. Bloop.